So tonight's show, I'm going to start off with some information I learned. And so you guys know that I'm into digital tools and how digital tools are actually really good for making things like armature parts. So if you have, for example, let's say I don't know, a Cyclops character and you want to have a skull inside there with maybe a movable jaw. So 3D printing is really good for that, believe it or not. You can design stuff in 3D and 3D print it and then make molds, or you can even 3D print a mold, which is something that is really kind of exciting. Uh, I don't really know. I'm trying to think if there's anybody that's done that yet for stop motion puppets. In fact, I actually there have been. I have seen some people that have 3D printed hand molds. So, hey, Greenlight, welcome to the show. So it involves you sculpt your hand in 3D like in ZBrush or Blender, and then what you do is you make a negative of that within the program, which it's easy to do in ZBrush. I'm not really sure how you do it in Blender, but this particular program here is a quick prototyping program, and uh, so like I said, I just found out about it. I haven't really learned enough about it, but according to what I've read in the comments, it's a bit buggy of a program. Uh, Although it seems like it has a lot of powerful features, and the most powerful feature is that it's free. That's always a good thing, which means that it gives people that don't have any, like a $800 budget for ZBrush, some access to 3D software where you can do some intricate and complicated shapes and designs. So of course there's Blender, which is another really good program, and a lot of people swear by it, but it's much more complicated than this one. This is, like I said, this is more like a rapid prototyping type of program, and it's called Neo Baroque. And so before the show, I tried to load up their webpage, and it doesn't work. I hate to say, it does not work. This is a review by Games from Scratch, or Game from Scratch, not games, but just GEME. Um, they have quite a number of subscribers, and I guess that their focus is mainly on using 3D programs to create characters and props and things for video games, to import them. So I went down inside the comments just trying to read what people are saying. And so one person did ask an important question, and they said, why would I choose this over Blender, which is also free, by the way? And so essentially, people are saying that this is just like a quick way to do things. That's the main reason why. So it's less complex. I mean, Blender is like the most complicated. I mean, it's very intuitive. Like people that I've talked to that have used Blender say it's very intuitive, and you can use shortcut keys, and the shortcut keys all make sense, and you can get used to it really fast. But it is super complex. Okay, I mean, I've tried it. I've had other friends that have tried it, and it's very difficult to, like, if you don't have YouTube, you would be completely lost. So anyways, so these people are saying, it's a bit buggy, but it's quick. So anyway, if you guys are interested in this program, it's called Neo Baroque. Now, the web page, and I'll try to bring it up now, and you guys will see what I can see as I try to bring it up. So I get this little yellow. And now it's working. All right. Well, it's making a liar out of me, but that's good. Hey, Greenlight, you're not late. Actually, I just started like 5 minutes ago, and tonight is feedback week. But we're just kind of showing this program for anybody interested in a free program for prototyping things and making perhaps armature parts and stuff. So, anyways, this is the site, and like I said, it didn't work for me before. Now it's working, so I haven't had a chance to review it. But this is a character made in there, and this is on Shape or Sketchfab. I would press this to look at it in 3D, but it will take a lot of time to load. But you can see this is a pretty good example of what you can do in there, and this is actually really nice, right? So you get these very nice geometric shapes, and this is like what I'm saying. The program appears to be good for is for making shapes like this that would work perfect inside of a puppet as an armature like a skull or a chest piece or a pelvis or things like that, which need to be hard and which you would cast silicone or foam latex or whatever around it on your armature as a way to grab through the softer materials. Or even you can even use it for build-up techniques, of course, too, but you wouldn't need the precision that this does in that case. Hey, Double Snake. Hey, Hoserloo. Nice to see everybody. All right, so anyways, so that is Neo. I think it's Baroque. neobarok.com is the site. And yeah, I mean, I might try this myself. I might download it just to see what it does, how it works. They do have a crowdfunding page, so it looks as though so this appears to be sort of instead of using like Patreon or something, they are using Indiegogo as a means to raise money. And I don't know if there's like a time limit on this or if you can still donate if you're interested, but yep, I'm not really going to get into that too much because that would be getting pretty far off topic. But check it out, and yeah, it seems really like a really promising program. Okay, so now it is feedback week, but I did want to cover something that this is kind of funny. So I went to Reddit.com, and they have an animation section, and in the animation section, somebody posted a video of this cat and another cat, which is part of this animation, and it's a loop animation. And when I saw it, I thought, wow, this is some of the most amazing clay animation I've seen, literally. And I've seen a lot of clay animation. So what I did is I went on Reddit and I talked to this guy and I said, wow, I know this guy named Tom Smith who did a similarly great animation in clay of a person brushing their teeth. And so I could perhaps bring that up. Now, let me do that. Let me put it on my welcome screen just for a minute. I'm going to go to YouTube on the side here and do a quick search. Let's see here. Do a quick search here. Okay. Here it is. I will bring it up in just a second here. I'm trying to find the higher quality version. I think it's this one. Oh, excellent. It is this one. Okay. So let me get rid of my welcome screen. Okay, so I worked with this guy named Tom Smith, and I was like, your flumpy animation is nearly as good as his. And I said, Tom's, you would have been really inspired by this this animation that Tom did. Lo and behold, he actually worked with Tom, and he was telling me that he worked with him, and that he taught him a few tricks and stuff, and I was like, really? So it seems like such a small world. Like somebody posts something on the internet, and you're like, do you know Tom? They're like, and then when they say yes, it's just kind of a shock. But so this was Tom Smith's Toothbrush Girl, Ugly Girl animation, and so this is I could go frame by frame in here. You could sort of see how complicated this animation really is, and everything from the hair to the toothpaste foaming up, and the the lips as they close, and let's see here. So every single frame is essentially a piece of art, and even like these little subtle things with the nose kind of going down. You've got water dripping out of the mouth, which is I think hanging off by string somehow to the face. This is all done, I believe, in camera. Like there's no rigs and things like that. Each frame meticulously sculpted, and yeah, it's just a piece of amazing artwork. This is almost unmatched in the world of clay animation. Oh, okay, Greenlight. I didn't realize you were doing productions. And Ron says, I'm going to attempt a claymation soon, and I have a question. I'm animating a flower with a face, and I need the face to be yellow, the eyelashes to be black, and the lips to be pink. And you're afraid of the colors bleeding? I take it? So yeah, I'm just going frame by frame here because it's, you guys can really see how just absolutely awesome this entire animation is. And this is all pre-planned. Everything was, figured out on an X sheet, and I don't know how long it took him to make it. I'm gathering this took him about, a week to animate, at least. I mean, even the teeth have a kind of a jiggle to it. Like, look at this, how the lower jaw here, the little subtlety there, with the jaw moving up slightly. So I don't even know how he did a lot of this stuff. Like, even this right here, there's, if I go left and right between frames, you can see the slight easing out of even the jiggle of the jaw or the cheek. Or there's like a zit or something, and it's just so subtle. And the silhouette of the character is very clear in the shot as well. I mean, everything is just so perfectly planned. I don't know. I cannot say enough good things about this, but I'll just play through the rest of it full speed here. Isn't she beautiful? So Ron is saying, so I bought Van Eycken for the yellow face, but I bought Sculpey black and pink for the other parts because I thought that would be a good option to prevent color bleed. Yes. Yes, that's the Ron Cole. Well, yeah, Puppet Putty is one of the ways to do it, to not have colors bleed, because Puppet Putty doesn't really bleed very much. That's definitely something you could try. Hardening those, baking those in the oven so they don't bleed, bake the actual eyebrows and stuff, or make replacements with those and bake them, that would work. So anyways, now, so as I was saying, so this guy, and he goes by Scotty D, and he posted here yesterday, ironically, on our site, because I was about to check our page before feedback week to make sure that, oh, there's some more messages here. Okay, somebody, Grandview, you posted some stuff. I didn't realize that. You just posted it last moment. So let me refresh the feedback week page here, just so we don't miss anything. Okay. So Scotty D posted this yesterday, but it was 2 days ago that he posted it on Reddit, I guess, or yesterday. And so like I said, I talked to him. He knew Tom, and so this is his animation. So I want to show this to you guys. And if you haven't seen this, this is truly amazing. And the animation is a loop, which means that, or a cycle, so you can play it over and over and over again infinitely. And that even in itself is amazing, because the person, that Scotty had to line up the last frame with the first frame of his animation. And to do that is, and to do that without you noticing where the break is in the animation, again, is truly fantastic. So here it goes. Right, so you can watch it again here if it'll play. I'm not sure if I can. Okay, so you can kind of go back and forth and flip through frames on Vimeo, but it skips about, I don't know, 10 frames in between motions, or you know, whatever you want to call it. So we can't really examine this in the same way as on YouTube, but you can see kind of, let me see if I can sort of click through here. I can sort of scroll through it with my mouse. But again, similarly to what Tom did with his Ugly Girl animation, he's got this squash and stretch, and he's got all this little finesse of the jiggle of the neck of the cat. And then we've got this really cool teardrop shaped piece of clay, you know, to resemble the cat in the background as he jumps up, which is very clever. And right there, I think where was it? I think I saw a little piece of wire sticking out the bottom on one of the frames there. But so here he goes up top, and awesome design too. And you notice that he's got very skinny legs. That the darker cat. So we got some anticipation, little butt wiggle. You can tell what he's gonna do, and squash again, and then stretch. Jumps down again. We got the teardrop shape and stretch right between there, those two frames. And then he jumps up. And he splats. Which is extremely funny. And I bet the way he probably did this was he probably stuck this onto a piece of plexiglass and then just slid the plexiglass down or something to animate him. But this cat here, the fat cat, as he jumps up, you know, I don't know if he did replacements, but I would think he probably did for this. It's like a squash, and he goes down, stretching up, and he turns, and the motion is so fast that his legs pop up. And then here you can see how all the fat jiggly mass kind of pops up and forward as he spins, because as he spins, the momentum, if you think about it, would move that fat kind of out to the side and forward, right? So just the way he planned it and thought of, you know, how the mass of clay would move is really just amazingly done. And then now he's going down, so everything is, you know, the leg comes down, everything is going upwards as he goes down, or pointing upwards. And then finally hits the pillow. And even the pillow, look at the pillow. The pillow has, it's like he sliced it and then added, you know, clay to the surface just in order to have the pillow shake as well. So it's really beautiful. And here he is looking as he slowly falls. And then this pause here with just the tail moving really says a lot too, where the cat, you can tell he's thinking of what just happened. And then we go back to squash. And if you look again at the pillow, you can see how the center of the cat goes down, and then this part curves up. You know, so there's like all this little subtlety. If I just go back and forth, you can sort of see that. And even the front and back part kind of go up and down. I mean, just looking at the pillow itself, you can see how each little step, you know, kind of impresses the surface. It kind of falls down. There's a piece of dust right there, so you know it's real. It's not CG, right? he kind of settles back into place, and then the whole thing begins anew. Somewhere around here is the break, and probably where would the break be for the sequence? It could be right here. Between here and there, I'm not sure. Let's see what's the first frame. So he's looking. I mean, I have no idea. I can't find it. But even the planter here is swaying back and forth as the cat moves, and you can sort of see the bottom sways, and you can see the weight of the pot even in this. So I bet if we look at the pot, we could find the first and last frame. However, he could have fixed it digitally, right? So he could have fixed it digitally at some point if he bumped it or it didn't align 100%. But anyway, yeah, it's just an amazing thing. Hey, Mets from Estonia, welcome. So Ron is saying with regards to his flower having so like eyelashes or eyelids and things like that, and maybe lips, whatever is in his design with different colors. So trying not to have the colors bleed between clay. And that's been a problem since the beginning of clay animation. So what he's thinking about doing is baking stuff. And so you take polymer clay that's colored black, let's say, for the eyebrows. Which is fine, and you can do that. And then there's the possibility of just using just straight Sculpey or Primo or something like that. Sometimes those don't bleed colors very easily, so that's kind of good. But invariably, in clay animation, you're almost always going to have to clean things up, because even if you use baked hard parts, the baked hard part will press into the clay of the flowery face that you're working on. So when you move stuff around, you'll have to clean it up in terms of smoothing, right? The same is true for colors that bleed. So if anything bleeds, usually with clay, what the cool part about it is you take a very small, fine loop tool, and then you want to scrape off any dirt or colors that have bled onto your surface. And that's pretty much the thing that has always been done. But there's really no way around not having to clean up stuff during clay animation. It's almost impossible. Like, I'm trying to think if I can use this as an example. So, let's see here. Yeah, this guy doesn't have any eyebrows or anything. But one thing that I might say, like if we were to look at this, would be there's a transition between the white clay and the terracotta color here for this cat. And so these are like replacements, so I can't really use this as an example. But if you were to, for example, animate this face as it is and just change the mouth or something as a replacement, the way it's designed here is in such a way that with this cat, it's really clever. There's really no way for that to be a problem. So, I don't know. But cleaning up is pretty much what you're going to have to do, regardless of what you choose. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people do use Sculpey to animate with. I'm trying to think. There's mostly, what's that one guy's channel? He's got like all these little characters that are really small. They're only like maybe 2 inches tall that he animates, and swears by it that it, the colors don't bleed. But it's expensive too, so. So anyways, before I move on to Feedback Weekend, before I bypass our video here, so Flumpy is on Vimeo, and the The channel I found this on was Threadwood, Threadwood. So if you're on Vimeo and you would like to follow Threadwood, then that's where you can find it. And you also might want to, if you guys are interested, you can leave a comment, for Scotty on our page as well, because that's where he posted it here. And so thank you, Scotty, for posting your stuff. Oh, so the nose of the character, yeah. Well, that's the thing, I've always just cleaned things up. Like on my Zombie Pirate Tales project, let me do something real quick. Let's close this for a second. I'm gonna get to feedback week, I promise. Not gonna miss anybody tonight, like I did the first feedback week. Let's see here. So, do I have my Zombie Pirate Tales folder in here? No. Okay. I need to find my folder. Okay, and let me look around for a bit. I need a really good example to show you guys. And there are ways around having to clean that up, but it depends on how you design things. I got one example here, and see if I can find one more example. So I have my Captain Quill as well that I've, which I can't find a photo of for some reason. Maybe here. Well, found a photo, but it's not really that great. All right. Well, I'll just show this photo. Let me make it larger. Okay, now let me get rid of this. Okay, so this is one of my characters that I made for Zombie Pirate Tales. And so I have these eyebrows up top here, and I have eyelids as well, and I've got a mouth. And so you can see that I also got the mustache here. And the mustache hides the lower mouth, which I replace. So all of this part on the bottom pops off, and then I pop another facial expression on. The eyelids, of course, pop off and on, and the eyebrows are on top. So the way I designed this was that the eyelids on top are the same color as the hat. So as I animate the eyelids, I don't have to worry about colors bleeding onto that. Then where I put the eyebrows, I kept this area kind of simple. You can see there's not a lot of detail. Like there's no fabric texture, for example. Like I could have put a texture in here that has a lot of detail, because that would be kind of nice. But with Claymation, you kind of do it simply like this, and having a smooth surface allows me to, I could either pop these eyebrows off and then sculpt more clay on here to add details if I would like to. But there's no like set design here. Like there's no permanent design of this hat. Like I could change it and it won't matter, because a hat can be moved around, the shape can change. So if I were to get this the eyelids or the eyebrows, the color on that surface, since it's simple, I could scrape the clay off with my tool and smooth it with my finger, and you would never notice that there was any colors bleeding on that. And now if I were to make those hard, they wouldn't stick as easily. So a lot of times if you bake Sculpey, it won't stick to Van Aken clay very nice. You'll find that out if you make baked teeth, for example. So a lot of times people will use this to make, or Sculpey or Primo to make teeth, or I'm trying to think what else they would use it for, like hats, stuff like that. You can make a hat like this. You can make that hard. And that would actually kind of make things, you know, easier, right? But clay doesn't stick to it as nicely, and it's also got to be painted sometimes. And if you get a smudge of other colors on there and it's baked, you gotta clean it off with something like a baby wipe or whatever. So it gets kind of, even still, it gets kind of complicated. But wherever the stuff is going to be touching one color to the next, you want to keep that part designed simply so that you can scrape the clay off if it does get dirty in that area. And usually when you're animating eyebrows like this, since your fingers usually pick up dirt around the your set and stuff, this area will almost invariably be dirty. So you want to, like I say, design it as simply as you can, so that you're kind of thinking ahead of cleaning it up later on. So unbaked. Let me see here. So let me see what you guys were saying. So Ken made mention about the cat video, saying he liked the use of colors and the cats match their perspective environments. Yes. And Greenlight is asking about bad apples, and bad apples is something we work on every other week now. So we're doing feedback weeks every 2 weeks, and then bad apples is in between then. So I do plan next week to work on bad apples if you're interested. So Randy says that unbaked Sculpey can be a little sticky where it touches Van Aken, but that should work if you keep moving and don't let it sit for days on end. Yeah, that's another point. Good point. So that's true. That is true with Van Aken on top of Van Aken, and as well, because once the colors sit on each other like this, they tend to the elements inside them tend to dissolve together and fuse. So that includes the colors, and the wax and the oils, all kind of strangely circulate, in a way through one part to another. And Evie says that Threadwood is also on YouTube. That's good to know. Thanks, Evie. So if you guys want to check out his cat video there, I guess just check out that channel. That's awesome. Randy says I use Sculpey for hands when they are moving, then bake it when they need to pick up something. Soft Sculpey can crack and break more easily than Van Aken. That's another good point. And Ron says I can make replacement pieces and bake them, but I just prefer to make my animation decision in front of the camera. I'm not a fan of replacement when I'm the animator. Yeah, and like I said, sometimes the baked Sculpey does not stick as well to Van Aken. It tends to pull away really easily. So if you're going to make replacement faces or mouths, what you can do to get around that is you take like a piece of wire and you make it into an L shape, and you stick it into the baked, before you bake your Sculpey, the soft Sculpey. Stick that in there so that you have a piece of wire sticking out the back, and you can plunge that wire into your face of your character, so that the mouths will stick on without falling off. And it's pretty common to do that as well. Anyway, with stick-on mouths, if your mouth is made of something that doesn't adhere to the mouth itself. I mean, the face is not made something that would adhere. And Ken says, in a way, I agree with you, Ron. However, I do love using replacement animation when it comes to exaggerated squash and stretch. The results for something like that is so much fun. Yeah. Ron says he's mostly concerned about black eyelashes and a yellow face. So, yeah, and I mean, you could bake it. Like I say, if you wanted to take some very super fine wire and just have the wire stick out the back of your eyelashes, something that's like less than 1 millimeter, perhaps, or even if you could find like a really skinny straight pin or something that you could break, and then crazy glue in the back of that of your eyelashes. That way you can sort of stick them right into the clay and no color would bleed in that kind of instance as well. Okay, so let's go to feedback week, everybody. Let's see. So the first person to post anything was Howie D. Mund. And so he says, Eden is a fantasy short about growth. A stop-motion video representing as a time-lapse, presenting the transformation from a flower to a being, inspired by the Garden of Eden. This is my first attempt at stop-motion as a project for my film course in Plymouth University. So I probably should have, let me expand this first. So let's watch this, and then we'll comment on the how it looks. Alright, so this is really cool, and I would have probably guessed that some of these parts would have been animated in reverse. So the first thing you see is the word Eden, and then you can see that things sort of come to life and transform. So we have this flower which opens up. And I'm not really sure, like I was going to say, I'm not really sure how this would be done. It's really clever. So I would have thought like most of this stuff here would have been pulled. Whoops. I just skipped over a whole bunch of stuff there. See if I can get this to work. Oh, why did... Oh, I'm pressing the wrong keys, that's why. Okay. Let's try that again. Go back again here. So we have this sort of stringy material, almost like cotton. Which opens up. Really interesting. And then everything kind of comes out of the ground upwards. So my thinking here is, if I were going to animate this, so if I show you guys this in reverse, doesn't it make sense that this would be placed on the set and then pulled into holes drilled through the set, right? So if you look at it like this, oops. It doesn't want to do it for me on YouTube. It's behaving erratically. But one of the things I could think of was there's this film called An American Werewolf in London, and they would have all these hairs coming out of the prosthetic arm that they made out of, you know, like silicone, or maybe it was foam latex, which I don't know. I think it probably would have been silicone by then. But what they would do to make the hairs appear to be coming out of the guy's arm as he's turning into the werewolf is they would take a hair punch, and they would punch hairs in there, and then on the inside they would have like a stick or something that was glued to all the hairs going through the arm, and then they would like pull the stick through the arm, and all the hairs would actually go into the arm, and then they reversed it so it looked like it was coming out. So when I saw this, that's what I was thinking would be a good trick to do this, but maybe he didn't do it that way. It's almost like, if you guys understand how mushrooms work, that's almost like mycelium. But it turns into the skull. It transforms. And so from the earth, from the dust of and dirt of earth, is the creation of the man. And so we have, looks like real dirt, and then the flowers form. So a lot of detail here going on with these little wires everywhere. Looks like perhaps floral wire. Just slowly encasing the skull, and then the flesh forms around the bone. So somewhat like a metaphor for the nervous system, veins and things like that, just all being created. And then finally, you can tell that it's a living human being inside there. So that's pretty cool. I would say it looks really good. I think the lighting is very dramatic. I think that the black background, brings out and into focus what is going on that is important for the story. And that's one of the most impressive things, I think, really here is, the way that the camera is focused on one object, and there's no distractions anywhere. We don't have anything jumping around like butterflies flying through here or something, or bugs jumping around. And it's really good. It's not too sculpturally, like like perfect and plastic looking. It's very handmade looking, which I think also works really well, considering that the environment is made of dirt, and so the style works with the set. The lighting is very good. Yeah, it's really nice. I don't know really what else to say about it. So Ken is saying that reversing animation is how Will Vinton did his Adam in Mark Twain. That's right, actually. And Ken says it looks like some of the elements were pulled through holes in the table. Hey, Janet. Long time no see. And Hoser Lou made mention of the music as well. Yeah, it's very good music. And let me see if he says he does not own the music. So I might get a copyright strike on my video tonight. But that's okay. Somebody will get paid ad revenue for that, but that's fine. So yeah, even Greenlight says that the music is nice, which is really, yeah, it does kind of make it feel more what's the word, like a very important point in history. It's the first human being to ever walk the earth or come to life. Yeah, it's like we're living in Antarctica right now. That's true, Janet. Alright. So Anyways, yeah, really good animation. The music, the lighting, it really does come together really well. And I mean, normally there's things that I would point out, like, oh, this is good, this is bad, but there's not much bad to point out at all. So if you guys would like to subscribe, I'm gonna subscribe myself. This is Edmund How, EDMUNDHOW on YouTube. So check it out. And then we have from Evie some photos to show. And so Evie says, my stop motion puppets. To make them, I felt some polyester fiber fill around the wire, then covered that with some sort of foam clay that I had. Odd choice, I know, but I kind of like how it looks. P.S. The dots in the dragon girl's boobs aren't nipples, just shading. Okay, so we have some attachments here. Let's check them out. So I'm not sure what kind of material that would be. I've seen a lot of stuff, like when I take my son to the mall or someplace, you know, they have all these different materials. And we used to go to Toys R Us, but I guess they closed the Toys R Us down where we live. And I heard that they're going to reopen, but that was a place we would go, and they would have all kinds of strange materials, like Play-Doh, which is not really strange, but they would have sort of like slime and putties and things like that for kids. So this is probably something that I've seen, but I don't know the name of it. So we have like a toy head. I think it's one of those, what is it, Bratz, I think they call these. I know I've seen them on the toy shelves. And then you can see the clay sort of inside, or the polyester on the inside, and the foam on the outside. So it looks like there was some paint, maybe some acrylics that were used to paint it for shading. And here is what is underneath. So that's interesting. So the only thing I would say really about this is, although you know, the external aspect of it where you sculpted everything is actually pretty good. The shape is very nice, I could see. I mean, obviously it's not perfect, but if this is one of your first puppets, it's pretty good. The only thing I would worry about is how it would animate. So if you did perhaps want to animate this in a film, I would think that most of the external parts would not stay where you put them. So that would be, you know, the only negative thing. So maybe like using fabric for the external parts would work pretty good. Or like we were mentioning before, if you have the ability to bake that material hard, which I don't know, again, like what kind of material it is. This is a cool dog. The dog is really good. I like the way the fur is on there and stuff. But with these characters, so animation-wise, I think this probably won't work very well. It's very imaginative. I like the legs, so you got like the kind of dinosaur feet. And the tail, I can see you got a tail with some spots on it. And, you know, the shape is interesting. It's got pretty big boobs, just saying. And the hair is actually not bad too. Like the general forms of it are good. It's not very smooth. I can see you didn't really smooth it very well, but the forms are good. So I think this would actually work, like if you were to just, like if this was polymer clay and you baked it and you glued it on with hot glue or Elmer's glue or something as parts on the outside, this would work pretty good for animation because this would bend well. So just thinking things through, you see how there's a gap in between these parts? That would be great for animation because this part would bend, this part would bend, so you can bend its body forward, sideways, and so forth. So if you had like an armor over his upper legs and lower legs and had a gap here in the knees, same with the arms. So the forearms and like the biceps have some armor, but have a gap at the elbows and the wrists. This would work really good for animation. And Evie says this is the first clay puppet. Let's see here. It's very nice. So I can tell it's sort of anime inspired. And we got some, we have a dress. And this time I can see you've really done a better job smoothing out the arms and stuff here as well. The arms are nice and cleaned up. And the dress is pretty good. And I see you have like a hole here, which is good because you can move the leg out if you wanted to animate it. It's much better than the first ones that you've done here. In terms of, this one has a lot of cracks and stuff, so it looks good. So already you've improved over the span of, let's see here, less than a week, looks like. So between those posts. So very nice. Let's see here. Okay. All right. So thanks, Evie, for posting those. Those are really good. I would say keep at it and see, see how things go with if you're going to try to animate those, and try to learn from your design. So you've designed your character in clay, and if something doesn't work out during animation, try to think about what you would do better later. That's pretty much the trial and error way of doing things that I know that's always worked for me to learn that way. It always helps when other people tell you how to fix things, but I think you'll do pretty good in the future. All right, so now let's see. We have Grandview Workshop, and so he's posted his dog as well as the progress of his design, and I can already tell that there's something that I would do differently. So let's see. Let's go to the design first, because we have the initial sketch, and the dog is nearly finished here. But let's look at the initial sketch first. So first off, the design is good. I think that the side view sketch that you've done here is great because you can aim for that, and having something to aim for is really important, and you want to know what something looks like beforehand before you get into it. So I can see you have a wire. Let me do something. I wonder if I can make this bigger. I guess I can't. I think my web page alters the size of everything that's uploaded. But I can tell you've got a wire that goes through the neck to the jaw of your dog. So at least you've drawn that in. And then I noticed down here, you didn't add it. You did not add that wire, which I am assuming you will, so you can have that mouth open and close. So maybe like later on you'll have a wire underneath here. One of the things I would say is that instead of having the wire go through to the neck, I would have that wire kind of come down from the skull, from behind the eyes, and add the two wires to the jaw that you create. That's the first thing I notice, because that way it will hinge properly. So you don't want to have the hinge at the back of the neck. You want to have it more in the appropriate place. So you kind of have to think of the actual anatomy of a dog. So if you can imagine this wire here hinging down, you'd be bending the wire down way past where it needs to be, which wouldn't be as nice. The next thing I notice is that, so you've got this wire in here, and I can't really tell what kind of wire this is. Could you tell us perhaps, Grandview? Let's see here. I thought he was here. I saw him before, I thought. Yeah. So Grandview, if you are here, let us know what kind of wire this is. But what I would try to do is, the wire here is just one strand of wire. So I think it looks like almost like galvanized steel to me. Although I can't tell for sure. But if it is steel, maybe this doesn't really matter so much. But if this was aluminum wire, I would try to use at least 2 strands of wire for the legs. if it's not too stiff, and twist those together like you've done with the spine, because the legs will be moving a lot, and if the wire gets weak, it would be easy for that to snap, you know. And if it snaps, at least if you have two strands of wire together, it does strengthen it a bit. So your puppet would last longer that way. So now I can see you've kind of added a bunch of a wrap around everything. Let's see here. And then you've added the jaw, upper jaw, which looks amazing, by the way. I don't know how you made that, but it looks really, really good. So you've adhered that to the upper jaw piece for the armature. That was really, really good. And then finally, we have a dog with fur, and this looks actually excellent. So I know that I'm offering advice of like adding extra wire and stuff for the legs, and you've already put it together, so you can't do that now, and you've already attached the jaw. But those are things that I would have thought might be good. But it looks really cool, and I like the way that he's turning out. You've got the sockets for the eyes, so you can add those in there later. And the fur is really, really, really good. This is this is I mean, I can see the color variation. So we have a lighter color here by the feet, almost like a collie or something. Yeah, and Evie says it looks like real teeth in there. It really does. So I'm thinking the teeth might be made out of something like, what do you call that? Friendly plastic. I know there's another name for it, but it's where you can heat it up in some boiling water and then shape it. It's really cool. Yeah, I really love those too. It's really inspiring to see. I can't wait to see how this looks actually animated. So, oh, it says right here it's a husky, and he says I recently watched Isle of Dogs and was inspired to make my own dog puppet for stop motion. I still haven't finished it, but any feedback for the future would be gladly taken. Yeah, so I think he might have hopped off because it's getting late. Maybe it's late where he's at, but hopefully he'll watch the show later on. And but yeah, this is great. So it looks like there's some sort of epoxy putty was used to adhere the wire pieces together, which is, you know, very strong. That's good. Got the build-up technique going on, and yeah. I guess this is like that sports tape or medical tape, right? I'm trying to think what kind of tape this is, but I recognize it. It's like that stretchy stuff, which I think is going to work really good for him. But yeah. Oh, I can see the eyeballs here. I didn't notice this before. So he's got some eyes inside the sockets. You can see how they fit into the sockets of the skull. Oh, hey, Grandview. So he says, I used translucent Sculpey clay and used images of a dog's skeleton to see how each tooth looked. And Metz is saying that Isle of Dogs is my favorite stop motion film so far. Yeah, I mean, your fur techniques are really good. I think this is looking excellent, honestly. Really good. All right, everybody. Well, that does conclude our live show for tonight, and that was our feedback week, and hopefully you guys learned a thing or two, or maybe were inspired. So if you would like, tonight what I'm going to do is I will make another feedback week thread in our forums, so you can post your stuff for discussion on our show. So to find out where to post your stuff, click on the feedback week at the top of the site here. And there's instructions on how you can post photos, because it is a little bit confusing. So just follow the instructions here for our forum, and then when you're ready, you click on the link right here on how to post your stuff. You click the link, and right at the top here, I will have our next date that we'll have our live show. So for the feedback week, so that would be I believe February the 13th. So next week we'll do our work on bad apples some more, which we are pretty far along. Actually, I took another photo which needs to be altered, background photo, which I'm probably going to do that next week. It might not take that long to alter that photo, so we'll see what happens during the show. But the 13th will be the next feedback week, and so feel free to post your stuff, and we'll definitely talk about it. All right. Well, anyways, thank you all for joining, and I will see you next time.